From Ashes to Art, the redemption of Elias Morrow. Elias Morrow was born in a quiet town tucked between sprawling hills and whispering woods, the kind of place where time moved slowly and every neighbor knew your name. He was the middle child of 5, the one with paint-stained fingers and a faraway look in his eyes. Even as a boy, Elias saw the world in color, rich, vivid, chaotic color. His sketches covered the backs of homework and the undersides of tables. But despite his natural gift, life had other plans. At the age of 15, Elias fell into the grip of addiction. It started with curiosity, just a hit at a party, a pill passed in a friend's palm, but curiosity turned into habit, and habit into a hollowed-out hunger. The vice consumed him, dragging him through dark alleyways of his own mind. His grades plummeted, he stole from his siblings, he lied to his parents' faces. Each time they tried to help, he pushed harder, spiraling deeper into isolation. By 19, Elias was living on the streets of a city that didn't care who he was or where he came from. He traded his art for cash, his dignity for the next high. He barely remembered the boy who once saw beauty in everything. Then came the night that changed everything. It was cold, bone cold. Elias collapsed in an alleyway, too weak to stand, too numb to scream. A woman found him there, a volunteer from a local shelter. Her name was Grace. She didn't ask him to change, she didn't judge. She simply wrapped him in a blanket, brought him soup and sat beside him as he shook and cried. That was the beginning. Recovery was not a straight line. There were relapses, days of doubt, nights filled with demons, but Elias kept painting. In rehab, he found solace in color again, this time not to escape the world, but to understand it. His pain bled into the canvas. His joy, once foreign, returned in brushstrokes. Years passed. Elias emerged from his cocoon not just sober but transformed. He began showing his work at local galleries. People were drawn to it, raw, unfiltered, honest. His name spread. Exhibitions turned into tours. He was hailed as one of the most authentic voices in contemporary art. But Elias didn't forget the alleyways, the shelters, the cold. With the money from his art, he founded the Phoenix House, a rehabilitation and art therapy center for homeless youth. He spent his days teaching kids how to find their own voice through creation. He donated millions to addiction recovery programs, built community centers, and quietly funded college scholarships for kids like the one he once was. Years after his fall, Elias returned to his family's doorstep. At first there was silence. His father's face was lined with years of disappointment. His mother held back tears. But when they saw the man standing before them, steady, kind, remorseful, their hearts softened. Slowly, trust returned. Forgiveness bloomed like spring after a brutal winter. Today, Elias Morrow's paintings hang in museums around the world, but he'll tell you his greatest masterpiece is not on any wall. It lives in the lives he's touched, the hands he's held, and the family he earned back through years of rebuilding. His story, once filled with despair, now shines as a beacon of hope. Fame never seduced Elias. It tried, of course. There were moments, lavish gallery openings, praise from critics, interviews with glossy magazines, where the temptation to bask in ego shimmered around him like heat off pavement. But he never forgot where he came from. He'd seen too many bright souls burn out chasing shadows. Elias had already lived in darkness. He chose to chase light instead. He often said, "The only reason I made it out was because someone saw me when I couldn't see myself." That became the guiding principle of the Phoenix House. It wasn't just about recovery. It was about rebuilding identity through creation. The walls were splashed with color, canvases hanging like flags of survival. Kids who had never known safety learned to shape pain into poetry, sculpture, and paint. Some left to become artists. Some left simply alive, and that was enough. But even as his legacy grew, Elias carried scars, not all of them visible. There were nights when he still woke in a sweat, memories clawing their way out from deep beneath the years. The time he stole his little sister's birthday money, the look on his mother's face when he disappeared for days. The letter his father wrote him and never mailed. He kept that letter in a box under his bed after his brother handed it to him during a visit home. His father had passed by then. "I was angry," his brother admitted, "but I never stopped hoping you'd come back." Elias read the letter one line at a time, like it might vanish if he looked too fast. "If you ever find your way home, son, there's a chair at the table for you." The reunion with his family had taken time. Forgiveness wasn't handed to him like a gift, it was earned through phone calls, quiet apologies, and showing up again and again. He never asked them to forget, he just asked them to see him now. His mother grew ill in his late 40s. He was by her side every day. He painted her portrait while she slept, the light from the window casting soft shadows over her face. When she passed, he spoke at the funeral. Not as a famous artist, but as a son who had broken her heart and worked every day to mend it. "The greatest thing she ever gave me was her belief," he said, "even when I lost it in myself." In the later years of his life, Elias established an annual art grant for recovering addicts. He gave lectures around the world, not about art, but about resilience, about how people aren't disposable just because they fall apart. He told audiences, "We're not meant to be perfect. We're meant to be real, and real things break. But they can also be rebuilt, stronger, more honest." On the walls of the Phoenix House were words he painted himself. "You are not what broke you. You are what you choose to become after." Elias never married. He poured his heart into his work, his community, his mission, but he was never alone. Former students visited often. His siblings' children called him Uncle Eli and painted beside him in the studio on holidays. When he finally passed at the age of 72, the world mourned not just an artist but a healer. At his memorial, hundreds gathered, addicts, artists, family, friends. His first painting, a rough abstract self-portrait from rehab, was placed at the center of the service. Beside it stood Grace, now gray-haired and smiling through tears. "He saved himself," she said, "but he saved 1,000 more after that." And that was Elias Morrow's true masterpiece.